At 11 a.m. on 29th October 2012, we reached Prayag and headed for Sri Ramesh Kapurji's house at Civil Lines on MG Road opposite to the High Court. Sri Rameshji was waiting for us since morning. He quickly ordered for tea and snacks. Later, leisurely completing our ablutions, we sat down for discussions on some pending issues, our future plans and programs. Our acquaintance with Sri Rameshji was from our days in the Northeast. He had come there for a couple of times and was familiar with the issues and activities there. Personally experienced the difficulties faced by the workers, bonded him to them. Sri Ramesh Chandra Kapurji is the youngest among the 5 brothers in the family. He inherited his family business of footwear when he was barely out of college. Fascinated by Swami Vivekananda's message during his college days, his first inclination was to dedicate life for higher values. But as the fate would have been, it finally led him to where he was, the task of taking care of family business. Yet the message of service was so strongly imprinted in his young mind, made him find time to devote for service activities. He was one of the few who volunteered to visit the northeastern frontier areas, now known as Seven Sisters of northeastern Himalayan states, when an earthquake ravaged those areas in the 50s. Since then, he has kept his tryst with that area intact. A perfectionist by nature, Sri Ramesh Chandra Kapur is meticulous in planning and execution of every activity, even if it is a small one. But like all the perfectionists in the world, perhaps it is that quality that makes or mars his relation with others, thereby increasing his stress levels.
शाम को 8 बजे 7:30 8 बजे निकलती है।
ले लीजिए, ले लेंगे नहीं ले लीजिए, आपसे स्टेशन थोड़ा जा रहे हैं।
डेट बताइए।
वो सीट तो लेफ्ट चलाया है, ठीक रहेगा डेट के हिसाब से।
While for the people of logical thinking it may be endearing, rhythmic thinking people may find it as the biggest irritant. Yet Sri Ramesh Chandra Kapurji seems to be blissfully unaware of all that as he continues to improve upon it as he moves ahead in life. Despite all the attempts for perfectionism, Sri Rameshji is so amenable a personality. One can find him extending a helping hand who approaches him for help at the time of distress. Those getting help from him belong to all age groups and socio-economic backgrounds. Nay, often we notice that he helps people in distress unsolicited. How better the place would have been if all imbibed that quality? Sri Ramesh Kapurji has a huge house, but since retiring from business a couple of years ago, rarely does he stay there. He frequently visits Bangalore and Pondicherry, where his wife and the eldest son are staying. Since our relocation to Mysore, he has come down to Mysore also for a couple of times. Our discussions with him lasted till the lunchtime. As he went for his afternoon nap, we were busy with our preparation for the departure to the new destination. City of Prayag is also called the City of Prime Ministers, as 7 out of 13, that is 54% Prime Ministers of India, were from that place. That include the one who started construction of the Free India and the one who tried to destabilize the social fabric of Hindu society by his mandal politics. That only makes some cynics to remark that over 54% of India's problems were created by the people of Prayag, as it was they who elected those prime ministers to manage and mismanage the country. Prayag is located in the southern part of the state at the confluence of Ganga and Yamuna rivers. The name means place of sacrifice, being the union of the rivers Ganga, Yamuna and Saraswati. The Vedas refer to it as a place where the Brahma the creator of the universe, is believed to have attended a sacrificial ritual. It was originally founded as Kaushambi by Kuru rulers of Hastinapura when flood destroyed the city. Lord Rama spent time at the ashram of sage Bharadwaj at Prayag before proceeding to the nearby Chitrakoot. The name of the city was changed to Allahabad by a fanatical Muslim ruler in the 16th century. Though famous for the chaste Hindi, the people of the area also speak a few local dialects like Awadhi, Bhojpuri, etc. Despite our request, Sri Ramesh Kapoorji volunteered to drop us at the railway station, once again underlying the quality of helping nature so abundantly he is gifted with. Our Allahabad Dibrugarh train left Prayag on 29th October 2012 at the right time at 8:39 pm, indicating this side of the railways also means business. As we tried to settle down in our places in the train, to our dismay we noticed that a trader who boarded the train from Delhi has converted most of the space, including 2 berths, as a storeroom for his plastic merchandise. As if anticipating our next move, like all good businessmen, he volunteered to make space for our luggage in the cramped space, cheekily informing that he would be getting down at Mughalsarai, which was still 2 hours drive from Prayag. With the bodies and minds not willing to wait till he vacates his space, we switched off them for the day, only to wake up the next day to notice that the train was on the last leg of its journey through Bihar and about to enter into West Bengal. The morning sights of vast expanse of cultivated lands and huge water bodies was undoubtedly a refreshing sight. Thus on the 30th morning of October 2012, by around 10:45 am, the train reached New Jalpaiguri in West Bengal, and we had the first sight of one of the newly added members to the group of 7 sisters of Northeast, the state of Sikkim. New Jalpaiguri is in Siliguri city in West Bengal and is the gateway to Sikkim, Bhutan and Assam. After passing through New Kuch Bihar, the train finally entered into the soil of Assam, one of the 7 sisters of the Northeast. The first thing that strikes one in Assam is the refreshing sight of having a water body called Pukri for every agricultural plot. Assam is therefore the only state which has still preserved the ancient wisdom of sustainable agricultural practices. Running behind the schedule by over 1 hour, the train reached Guwahati by 6:30 pm. The place was formerly known as Pragjyotishapura. The city is between the southern bank of the Brahmaputra river and the foothills of the Shillong plateau. It was on this city, as it was in the grip of Durga Puja festival, on a pleasant October evening that I landed up over 20 years ago to begin my tryst with the 7 sisters. Here I am, back in the same city in October, even as the city has just completed the Durga Puja festival of the year. By closing the eyes, I can still recall the beautiful ambience in the city that was in the grip of Durga Puja festival on that day. The melodious stotras in Assamese in praise of Durga Ma that came wafting through the chilly air left a lasting impression on my maiden visit itself, and thus began my tryst with the 7 sisters, where I was destined to spend a large part of my prime time in the following years. The train continued to move towards Dimapur in Nagaland, and in the early hours of the day reached Tinsukia. It is one of the few places where you can see train running so close and parallel to a national highway, almost giving an impression of it running on the road. As the train raced towards its last destination, Dibrugarh, It had already caught up with the lost time, and there we are at Dibrugarh right on time at 4:50 am on 31st October 2012, a place where the most memorable and most enjoyable part of the public life was spent by us. And Sri Suresh, one of our dear colleagues, was there to welcome us.